Maybe it's not the best way to go out there and open up this video, but I wanted to talk about the ghosts of Vancouver Canucks general managers past. Because the last GM the Vancouver Canucks had before their current regime was Jim Benning. And Jim Benning had a very peculiar, kind of happy-go-lucky, very positive, very, maybe even kind of ignorant way of answering questions and talking about Vancouver Canucks-related properties. Talking about players, talking about progression, talking about the way the team is doing their thing. Oh, we ran out of time to sign Tyler Toffoli. Oh, we take it day by day. Oh, we think our players are good. Oh, we think we can compete. Oh, this, oh, that. It was all kinda nothing. And admittedly, there was a lot of haterade going around when Jim Benning was the GM. I think that he was one of the more polarizing ones in Canucks history, especially during his tenure, because there were a lot of Canucks fans like me that were trying to find the good, trying to justify the moves that Benning would make. But I can't recall another Canucks GM who was criticized as much in the moment as Jim Benning. Maybe that's my Gen Z perspective, not really knowing the full-fledged history of the Vancouver Canucks, but Jim Benning was kind of treated like crap by this fan base. And then when he got fired, when everybody kind of realized, hey, this guy really screwed over the team for 7 years, that's when everything else went down the drain too. The folks that were trying to defend him, like myself, kind of realized, hey, this guy was really not a good GM. And the reason I bring Jim Benning up to open up this video is because the current Vancouver Canucks general manager, PATRIK ALLVIN, does not do any of that sugarcoating. He doesn't go out there with very low expectations, getting pleasantly surprised when those bare minimum expectations are met. He doesn't overreact to when the Vancouver Canucks have a good moment or a bad moment. He doesn't have blind faith in everybody that he hires and everybody that he signs and trades for. And the best part about it is, he doesn't run out of time. So when it comes to PATRIK ALLVIN, because he's a lot more of a hard-nosed, direct, and less delusional GM for the Vancouver Canucks, you can bet your behind that I kind of popped out of my chair when I saw these comments made when PATRIK ALLVIN was talking about Brock Boeser. Without further ado, I'm going to leave a link in the description to 2 articles, maybe 3. For now, we'll say 2. The first one was an article published by Thomas Drance on The Athletic. It was a Q&A with PATRIK ALLVIN, and the title says this: "We're not going to waste any time here." The article was from yesterday. It'll be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and read it yourself, but The Athletic is paid for material, so we're not going to go out there and screenshot it. Instead, we are screenshotting this article published by Mike Gold on Canucks Army, also from yesterday. Canucks GM PATRIK ALLVIN wants Brock Boeser to be even more consistent in 2024-2025. Now, that title isn't necessarily the big hot scoop that I'm implying exists in the title and thumbnail of this video. But let's go out there and read some of the comments that PATRIK ALLVIN said when it came to Vancouver Canucks forward Brock Boeser. "I want to see the hunger from every single player, including Brock, to come in here and keep raising the bar," ALLVIN said. "And when the time is right, I feel that I have a good relationship with Brock and his agent Ben Hankinson, so we'll talk." Obviously, they're talk-toing about the Brock Boeser contract extension, which hasn't been signed yet at the time of recording this audio. We'll see if whether or not Boeser decides to commit to the Canucks on a longer-term deal before the season begins. For now, though, his main focus is to come back here and play to the level that he had showed last year, and be even more consistent, ALLVIN added. "I told Brock that he could have scored 50 goals, but I felt he took his foot off the gas when he scored 30, and we want to see him pushing through." Now, I'm going to leave that quote on the screen for a little bit longer. "I told Brock that he could have scored 50, but he took his foot off the gas when he had scored 30, and we want to see him continue pushing." And if you needed the refresher, Brock Boeser finished off the year with 40 goals in 81 games played, the very first 40, let alone 30 goal season he had ever had. And the thing is, PATRIK ALLVIN is kind of right here. You see, Brock finished off with 40 goals, half a goal a game, that's great, but if you look at his splits, I mean, take a look at the first 4 months of the NHL season. From October to November to December and January, Brock Boeser scored 30 goals flat in 49 games played. Do the math on that. 30 divided by 49 multiplied out by 82, that's a 50-goal pace. And if you do the math there, okay, 30 goals in 49 games, he scored the remaining 10 goals in the 33 games that followed up after those first 30 goals were scored. Boeser went from 30 goals in 49 games to 10 goals in 33 games, and if you do the math on that, Boeser went from scoring 2 goals every 3 games to 1 goal every 3 games, and that's reflected in the numbers here too. He only had 5 goals in 13 games in February, 3 goals in 12 games in March, and 2 goals in 7 games in April. And if you look at the shots, he was shooting less in those later months too. So for PATRIK ALLVIN to straight up tell Brock Boeser, a guy who's gone through so much turmoil, so much growing pains, has had all this controversy as to whether or not he could actually be a legit goal-scoring threat after a rookie season that saw him get robbed of 30 goals because Jake Virtanen left the door open Silk Sonic style, and who was never able to reach a 29-goal season any time after that until this previous year, PATRIK ALLVIN said to Boeser, hey, you hit 40, great. But you could have had 50. You scored 30 and then you fell off. Our goal for you next year is to not fall off. PATRIK ALLVIN is an absolute menace, and that is awesome. Like, the expectations, the bar is so high, and it's taking me a lot of time to get used to that out of my favorite team. For 7 years, Jim Benning was here, try to make the playoffs, you know, that was the goal. We take it day by day, we want to make the playoffs, we make the playoffs, anything can happen. And it was like wishful thinking, you know, it was kind of delulu. It was like not really all too cohesive. But PATRIK ALLVIN's coming in here with ammo, and he's finding legitimately valid reasons to call out his players and say, yeah, you could have had 50 goals, but you fell off, buddy. You fell off. And maybe it's not as harsh as the way I'm kind of implying it by talking about this quote, paraphrasing it repeatedly in this video, but I just wanted to hammer that down. PATRIK ALLVIN is taking no prisoners here. He's not letting any expectations go out the window. He is saying, hey, you are capable of this, you are better than this, you are able to accomplish more. And that's the standard that a winning team needs to have. Let's go out there and scroll on to the bottom here, read some extra quotes that PATRIK ALLVIN had about Brock Boeser. Although he ended up sitting out Game 7 of the Western Conference semifinal series against the Oilers, Boeser looks to be on track to return to action at the start of 24-25. ALLVIN said this, a player might be without an extension and might be hungry to prove that they deserve it, ALLVIN said. And with Brock, I'm happy that it looks like he's going to be cleared here to attend training camp. He worked really hard this summer and it was really unfortunate last year in that situation. So, Patty ALLVIN, props to you for telling it like it is. Like, I didn't even realize that Brock Boeser was in a spot where he was on pace for 50 goals. I mean, maybe I did. You know, there are 82 videos that we made on regular season games throughout the year, and all of them kind of mesh together after you do it for a while like I do. Boeser had a whole bunch of goals, 30 goals in 49 games. I mean, that was absolutely bananas. He was on pace for 50, but he ended up at 40. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about PATRIK ALLVIN telling the truth to Brock Boeser and talking about how he fell off in a pretty, maybe not even harsh way, but just kind of a realistic way. How refreshing is it to see somebody kind of break out of that Jim Benning mold that we had been accustomed to for the past 7 years and bring, or not past 7 years, but for 7 years during a period until 2020, whatever it was. But how do you feel about the change in culture up top, the way these executives have expectations that they demand to be fulfilled out of these guys? What are your thoughts on all that? Do you think Brock Boeser is going to score 50 goals this upcoming season? Do you think he's going to get 30, 35, 40? We had already made a video earlier this, no, was it this month? I think it was last month, talking about Canucks American guys and the expectations that I personally have for them. JT Miller, Quinn Hughes, and Brock Boeser we had talked about, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Brock Boeser, yay or nay, 50 goals, 40 goals, 30 goals, or whatever else. What are your thoughts on ALLVIN calling him out like this? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.